welcome to the Rockin' This Rocksteady beat of the Smart Retail Tech Conference 2022. We are here to tell you how you can learn from a pinnacle brand. A pinnacle brand, surely there's only one pinnacle brand, and yeah, there is only one pinnacle brand. I can't really tell you who it is, but I can tell you that they're the Rolls-Royce of brands. We run a customer-focused strategy company. We work internationally, we cover brand and service and product. We do market development, monitoring, strategy and implementation, and we do that across all sorts of different portfolios: retail, automotive, luxury, sport, as well as transport and travel, and that will become pertinent in just a moment. We do bespoke project solutions, so if that's some focus groups or some questionnaires or some mystery shopping at the back end, communities to help you develop products and services, and other advisory or online elements. So do you have customers? Do you have anyone who wants to know what's going on? Or what are people thinking or doing, or what they're going to do, and what you should do about it? Well, that's where we help out. Now, this isn't supposed to be a sales pitch, but you ought to know what we are, or who we claim we are, before we kill the guy who reformatted this PowerPoint. What have we done for the pinnacle brand as a company? We did a 15-year brand featuring project, so we took their customers and we took their viewpoints and we took internal stakeholders and decided how this brand was going to look in 15 years. We've also done brand promise construction, so taking literally the components of the brand promise to their clients and asking them which ones really resonate. We made a global brand playbook for this company. We did a global mystery shopping program for this company, and this is a company that does not do standard. This is the greatest brand in the world, the Rolls-Royce of brands, as I've mentioned before, and they were in a mystery shopping program that was standardized and has benchmarks, but for them, they felt that they don't have any rivals really, so they decided to come and have one built for them, rather like they build their cars. We've also done a Europe-based audit program, so going to their retail locations, dealerships, and finding out if they had all the right equipment, they had all the right tools, the place was in good condition, these kinds of real sense check stuff. And we did some mystery shopping for them digitally across the US. So we got to know this brand very well from end to end in terms of their customer experience. And we learned a bit about how they run themselves, and we're going to give you some of that special magic today. But what have cars really got to do with retail, I suppose, is the question. They have a long funnel, they have brand loyalty, a very high price point, so some of you may start recognizing bits of you in this. There is extreme competition in their market. They run, unfortunately for them, low margins, and they have a very complex supply chain. But they also have a bricks and mortar challenge like the rest of us. What on earth are they going to do with those locations as people start to buy online, but they still do need to take their car somewhere to get it serviced? All of these things have pertinence within the relevant or the general retail space. And also what sport got to do with it? Well, sport has fans. They don't have customers, they have fans. And that's something that as we change from being a room where you go and get things into something that people want to do, you have to create a fan-like relationship with the people that you're hoping to interact with. And also those aren't really customers, because there are people who will be interacting with you for quite a long time before they ever give you any money. And you're going to have a relationship with those people too. So what do we know? Where do we get our information about what people are up to? Well, we are currently planning for 10,000 days of field work, visiting 2,500 railway stations to combine mobile network data with survey data and footfall count data to create we think the largest data set the government has ever had, which will tell them how people are using trains. We just recently surveyed 1,000 business owners, real business owners as well, people not just saying, oh yeah, I've got a business, I'll take £5 to fill in your survey. We go through every single question, every single answer, and we find out whether people really are business owners. And we found out what the state of their business was in August. We asked them who they are and what they want to do, and how they want to be looked after. And in commercial vehicles as well, we run brand trackers and focus groups, and we have thousands of interviews with van drivers and van owners and business owners throughout the year. But we're not going to tell you any of the answers to that because it's commercially confidential, of course. But we do know about these things, and we can show you some of that stuff. What we do though is a survey we call Driving the Future. Driving the Future 22.2 is about to come out, so do get hold of us and we'll send you a copy of that when it's finished. We've done that for 3 years, so we had pre-COVID, during COVID, and now basically post-COVID. 3,000 UK transport users a year, and we'll give you the database. What's interesting about that? What's transport got to do with you guys? Well, we know that a huge drop in demand for public transport should be creating a massive drop in commuting, but the roads are actually busier, although rail is much less so. And there's behaviours around that why people don't want to be in trains. And this impacts city centre footfall, which is important for everybody. Is that a rebalance, though, to the towns? Have we seen more kind of local, non-city areas? The city flows, as was being talked about earlier. What does that mean for commercial rents? What does that mean for deliveries? And what does that mean for a radically changed transport landscape? All of these things are important to you if you're trying to sell things in a room to people. So people are moving to work from home. 46% in our survey said they'd work from home more. Does that mean there's a halt in increasing demand for road capacity? Well, apparently not. People are still driving around the place. But it did and has demolished the tube and rail season ticket model. Nobody wants a season ticket anymore. What does that mean? Well, we asked people if you would keep your season ticket when the economy returns to normal. Probably not 36%, so over a third of people said they're not keeping a season ticket. So what does that mean? If a third of people, and this screen is really making this presentation look great, isn't it? If we get 1/3 less revenue for, say, London Underground, season ticket revenue in 2019 when things were normal was 1.72 billion quid. So they're going to lose 600 million pounds of that. That's quite a lot. And as we've seen with rail season tickets as well, that's really hurt London Underground. It's being bailed out again. What does that mean when we come back? What does that mean for retailers around those locations? What does it mean for city centre footfall? If you've got one person working 1 day a week from home more, that's a 20% drop in footfall for that person. If that's everybody, that's a huge drop in city centre footfall for those discretionary retail spends. So is retail dead? Well, yes, I think that's the answer. That's the end of my presentation. No, it's a good thing that retail, as you know, it isn't going to be the same anymore. And I think you know it, otherwise you wouldn't be at a conference like this trying to find out more interesting things. The concept of the traditional retail store where people will go in because it's there and it's convenient and that's where you need to go if you're going to get your train has obviously died years ago when the internet came out, but people still kept going to shops. And why was that? What's it for? Well, as we could see, up to 2020, it really did have an impact. Total retail sales were down to, and this is the index from the Office of National Statistics, 92 billion, million, 92 whatevers at the end of quarter 2 2020. So if 2019 was a normal year, around about 100, an index of 100, we're down at 92 for 2020. And the internet as a percentage of retail sales has risen, quite a lot. From the end of 2020, we were looking at about 20%, and then suddenly it's 36% by the end of 2021. Massive radical change because we know that people had to do that. What does that mean? It means you should definitely panic because your bricks and mortar are utterly useless now and you don't have enough throughput to possibly continue on with doing what you're doing. Or does it? Well, what happens after the lockdowns is that we get retail sales bouncing back, but not just bouncing back quite significantly. So 10% higher in quarter 3 2021 than in quarter 3 2019. So that doesn't sound too bad as if the economy is completely mashed. And again, these are Office of National Statistic figures. And this is for total retail sales excluding petrol, by the way. So we're not looking at, an increase in the price of petrol driving this. What does that mean as a percentage of internet to retail? So your bricks and mortar, is it going to crash? There's even less point? Well, no, look at that. Actually, you could have guessed that because the graph didn't have any more space up here. So it's dropped down January this year to around about 25% of what we were seeing previously. Does that mean that we're going to plateau at about 25% of usage and that actually you don't need to panic? We think it probably does, but you have to figure out what bricks and mortar versus online really means. So people used to have to go shopping, but now they want to go shopping. You have to want to go somewhere otherwise you're just going to get it online. But people do want to do that. As soon as they were able to go back out shopping, they did, but they're not going to go back to the old routine. So online went down from 36% to 27% in quarter 1 2021. But what does it mean now to be retail? What you're offering now can't be convenience. It's not convenient unless you're proffering prosaics like butter and milk next to the office that's occasionally used on a Wednesday. You're not even convenient. So shoppers have to want to go out of their way, and they do want to. We've seen that. What you have to do, though, has to be better than pure online, and pure online's pretty damn good. I ordered a radiator key, fascinatingly enough, on Sunday night, and it arrived on Monday morning. Now, I couldn't have gone to the plumbers and done that for myself. Amazon was better than real life. It was faster than real life, and that's really surprising. But is there stuff that they could do for me? Well, the plumber's merchant consumer experience, what would that look like? I don't know. What we need to think about is, how are people expecting to retail, expecting to shop as we go forward? Let's look at what Gen Z are doing. Now, as we look at Love Island, are people sitting around on Love Island wondering about what's going on with the coral around Love Island? No, they're not. What they're doing is looking at their the things that make them look good, looking at their watches, looking at their haircuts. They shop to show. So they have a thing, but also if they're going shopping, they'll take a picture of that, and they have done a thing as well as having a thing. And that's the secret to retail going forward. So, what was in the old funnel? Well, first of all, you made people aware in the olden days, and that was, they can't buy if they don't know you exist. You go above the line, you go adverts, you do direct. There was passive reception of messages, and they'd begin to understand that they needed your thing, then they'd consider you. They might get to know you a bit better. They might consider your brand story. Put research in, do some active thinking. Then they've got to decide whether they prefer you or not. So interacting, delivering, getting information from you. They're asking for information and weighing up their options. And then they'll buy if they're well closed, and if it's convenient in the right locations, you've got the right salespeople and the price. And then if you've got loyalty, because they won't buy from you again if they didn't like what happened, they'll go through the after sales, and if it's a reliable product or your customer service is good, and then it'll go around the top and back to awareness or somewhere. And they used to sort of be departments that were delivering each of those in their silos. Marketing will do one thing, product will do something else. The retail guys are stuck there just in the buying bit, and they've got nothing to do with the rest of the cycle. This is an old school brand funnel that I pulled out of a presentation I gave literally 10 years ago. It's very easy to understand, and you can easily show it to people who are signing checks and go, this is what happens. Make people aware, make them familiar, get their opinion. And this is the Marcoms team, and the brand performance is going to deal with this bit, and product attributes are going to deal with that bit, and the customer service is that bit, and they've got 3 teams and they'll just do their thing. Well, that's not obviously how customers work. It wasn't then, actually, and it really, really isn't now. It's all right if you're going from nowhere to somewhere. If you know nothing about your brand and you've got to get it somewhere, the old school funnel will work well. It's good for selling a product. But that isn't what retail is now. That's not what bricks and mortar do, and it's not what the best people do. And what does the Pinnacle brand do? Well, they understand that they have a scale for customers. All these people are super rich, but some of them are merely affluent, others are wealthy, others are high net worth, and they have different types of products and different approaches to each of them. They have different products. They'll lease you a second-hand Ghost in Miami for a very reasonable monthly price, but they also build you a car of your own if you're a sheikh having your wedding in Abu Dhabi. The new premium, by the way, if we're looking for what can you charge more for, better made is an old school premium thing. It makes it longer lasting, but it's the reason for it. So having a lower impact is now the thing that you can shout about. We may have spent a fortune on this thing, but my wealth is not glaringly awful. It's because I'm buying something to last longer. So Hermes, for example, have repair shops, and you can repair all of any Hermes products at a Hermes repair. So what do they do that's different to you? They make sure that they're different. So the Pinnacle brand asks, does everybody need the same systems? Do we have a BOPIS for everybody? Do we have the same CRM, the same CSI? And they want to make it better, or why bother changing? They want to make it appropriate. For example, look at my inbox today. I want you to very carefully consider this. Lots of very good I've obviously deleted some of them. This is my deleted items. They're unread. Tuesday, 10 o'clock, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, Tuesday, 8 o'clock, Tuesday, 7:30, Tuesday. So this is the stuff that I deleted in a period of a couple of hours. And also, look, I've got 1,000 deleted items in there, and that automatically deletes when it's empty. 1,000 unread emails. What are they doing? What do they think I'm doing with this stuff? Are they just blasting this stuff out and saying, we've got the CRM, tick, we've done it? Not the right approach. What's appropriate? They're wasting their time, they're wasting my time, and they're annoying me a bit. I could unsubscribe, but why should I do that? So look, what they do, what the Pinnacle brand does, is they find out what their customers prefer. So this is back to where they might buy if the product or service is right. Is it BOPIS? Or is it something I invented on the train down here? Tisdar. who are you? What are you offering? What is the right thing for you? And who are they? Who are you offering it to? So find out. Who does it well, for starters? There's the point of going to other people and seeing what they're doing well. Find out what's right for your brand, but also what customers think. And I'm giving it the air quotes because it's not the customers, it's people who buy from you already, but also people who aren't your customers yet are vital. And you've got to keep doing it, more now than ever, because stuff is changing so much. You have to keep talking to people. And then you'll go back round and do it all again. So what's the right approach? Well, for this Pinnacle brand, here we are on their stand at a very expensive car show in Los Angeles, or actually further up the coast than that. And what we're doing here is we're just sitting around talking to people who show up. And why is that? We should just do a survey with their customers, right? Well, ultra high net worth individuals don't fill in surveys. They haven't got time. They've really got anything in the world better to do than fill in your survey. And there's just not enough of them to make it worthwhile filling in a quantitative survey. So what do? You have customers who have their own needs, and pride is a powerful motivator. So you get those people and you say, I'd really like to hear from you. You're really important to me. Please get involved. And whether that's a few conversations or whether it's a proper full-on survey, depends on who you are. Collaborative work, contributing, being part of the whole is very, very interesting to people, and they do want to get involved. They do want to help out. So these are some people who told us afterwards what they felt like. You know, a Bentley owner saying, it was great. I had a great time helping this brand out. He wasn't even a buyer of that brand. So how does the Pinnacle brand work? Well, first of all, they encompass the entire customer experience. They see it as multiple cycles and centralize everything around the customer and not the products they have for sale. So they make products for the customer, and now be that through actual customization or telling the customer they've made them for them. We've got this special new product just for you. But what does that mean for retail? So you need to sell them what they want and not what you've got, although obviously you've got what you've got. And how do we do this? There's this huge plethora of random things that happen. They're doing them in different orders, they're using different platforms, they're doing them at different times. But particularly you want people to participate with you, and you want to give them an experience that counts on that front. So what do the Pinnacle brand think? How do they get all of that stuff down to buying behavior? They realize that there are very, very many different ways to interact with this particular set of things, and they have to have a process that will work across many different customer types. So, first thing they do is they research their targets. They understand them, what are their needs, and then they understand themselves. So what are they best at, and what are they good at, and what's confident to say they're good at without being arrogant? And there is only one brand that's super arrogant, and it isn't you because you're here. They curate the customer's experiences, so they map what's happening first of all, not what they want to hear. So too many times you'll have bought a thing and somebody will have said, could you please say that was excellent service, please? Totally ruining the entire point of that happening. You don't want to do that, it won't tell you anything. You need to standardize diversity, so make sure that in the places that you are, you've got the appropriate service for the people that are there. So for this particular client, they have a very, very different conversation in the Middle East about financing than they do in Miami. You have to lease in Miami, you can't lease in the Middle East, but you can have a conversation about whether the leasing conversation was right in the right place. If you only talk about the products you've got and the room that they're in, you'll end up with more loyalty because you'll build stuff for people for a purpose that doesn't exist. There is quite a famous car company in this country that build really, really excellent cars that nobody wants. So you have to feed the need, understand the need first of all, and then organize yourselves around delivering it. And that's the point. You can say, we changed all the standards in our retail environment, and you are now going to deliver it and tell them to get on with it. But what if they don't have the stock speed? What if they don't have the HR support at the time that they need to speak to somebody in HR? They're going to be on the tills, all this sort of stuff. You have to bring everybody in at the start of this process, researching your targets. Don't seagull them by flying in, crapping on them, nicking their chips and buggering off. Release those people in the retail space. You've got to enable them to do their job, so give them the tools. Tell them it's okay and encourage them. So when we're doing mystery shopping, we don't go in and say, you've all got this wrong, you're bad. We say, hey, look, your schools aren't as good as they could be. Here's what other people are doing that is really good. And measure. As a rule, try and find out what it is that you're measuring. Don't have 70,000 different things to measure, because actually you're doing different things in different places, but measure on the things that are really important. We only had 8 questions in our Rolls-Royce mystery shopping program, but they produced an incredible amount of data. Measure the success and monitor opportunities, i.e. stuff they're getting wrong. mystery shop, audit, get customer feedback, do more research, says the research agency owner. Obviously there are parts of retail when sometimes you do have to let people go, but you've got to make sure that it's them and not you. So on the blank sheet of paper, what does this mean for you? Certainly you have to find your right approach. There isn't one single thing. None of the people here providing these technology platforms necessarily are right for everybody. There are a lot of them and there are a lot of you. Understand your audience and your organization, but make sure you equip your team and engage with them as well as your audience, and then measure it. Are you doing it? So flipping what? Well, is retail dead? No, but it is different. The funnel is now a loop or a whirlwind vortex if you're not managing it properly. It is retail, but not as you know it. Customer first is the old adage, the oldest trick in the book, but every time we suggest it, it's still quite shocking how many people go, yeah, but I've got these products to sell. You've got to find out what people think of you and what you are capable of delivering to them, and then tailoring it to that audience. And don't guess, you don't know. But actually you do have what you've got. So the alternative and the thing that you do alongside that is make sure that they believe in what you're doing. If you want to know more, please click here. That's us, and that is what we found out from the Pinnacle brand. If you want to see that again, I'll be telling people in the pub later on. Thank you very much.